I'm feeling good.
The majority of Black women in corporate environments face systemic bias, microaggressions, and the pressure to overperform, often leading to higher turnover and lower promotion rates. More often than not, the most discussed and most contentious relationships in the workplace with Black women are white women. White women have a particular type of microaggressions where they can escape their misogynoir by weaponizing their femininity and victimhood with crying. My sisters, you know exactly what I am talking about. They can evade responsibility and use womanhood as a banner to show solidarity, when in reality, they are actively sabotaging Black women. They can also use anti-Black racism and stereotypes to paint Black women as aggressive and white women as fragile. Now listen to these sisters explaining what I am talking about. They're on point.
So before I get started, I'm going to tell you right now, this video is going to be one that might trigger some of you because you're going to feel yourself being called out. And if I'm not talking about you and I'm not referring to you, then you need to be quiet, because only hit dogs do what? Holler. Here we go. I was on the Clock app the other night as I was getting ready to go to bed, as I am wont to do. And I just heard someone say something. A sister said that white women are to Black women what police officers are to Black men. And I had to stop in my tracks and think about it. And I was like, damn it if she ain't right. Because the more I sit with it, the more I realize, yeah, that's exactly how it is. And let me explain why. We say all the time that HR is not your friend. A lot of us know that HR, especially when white women in HR are in charge, HR is very much a problem. White women in HR are the biggest architects of harm for Black employees, and particularly Black women in the workplace. But the older I get, the more I realize it's not just HR. It's any position where white women are placed in authority over vulnerable Black people, especially Black women and Black children. Any position where we are dependent, any position where we are in need, any position where we can be policed, disciplined, denied, or dismissed. That's where they become the most harmful and dangerous. And before anybody jumps in to say not all, let me be very clear. I'm not talking about the handful of exceptions. I'm talking about the pattern, the majority, the lived experiences of Black and brown women everywhere, but particularly Black women everywhere. Because the pattern is consistent. I speak to people every day on discovery calls, and the majority of the people I speak to are Black women, and the majority of the bad actors in almost every situation are white women. Not saying there are not other people who are bad actors, but when I talk about the majority, it's white women. So let's start with healthcare. There is a video circulating right now of a Black woman in labor in a hospital. I believe it's in Dallas or Austin, Texas, but it's in Texas. And in the video, it's absolutely visible that she's in excruciating pain. And the white nurse literally has her back turned to this woman, making her sit there and complete a routine intake. I won't share the video because I just think it's traumatizing. The Black woman is clearly about to give birth. She can't stand, she can barely talk, she's doubled over in a wheelchair in pain. And the white nurse, who can see all of this, refuses to move with any type of emergency. She refuses to escalate, she refuses to act, she refuses to care. 12 minutes later, that baby was born, I believe they said, in the wheelchair. This is not a bad nurse. This is a pattern of how white women in so-called, quote, caring, unquote, professions treat Black women when we are at their mercy. And this has always been the case. When I was giving birth, I made sure that I not only had a plan, a childbirth plan, but I made sure that my cousin, who was a nurse, was with me for the entire time. And she was there to step in and advocate for me, because I knew that I would not be safe in that environment if I was alone. This is how Black maternal mortality happens. This is how we die. and they still get praised as, quote, angels, unquote. Then there's education. Let me tell you something personal. I raised my kid in the public school system, primarily public charter schools. And let me tell you, it was hell from beginning to end. And I had to be their number one advocate every single day, every single year. It was one fight after another, one email after another, one meeting where I had to check somebody every single time. And the majority of the people I had to interact with were white women. And when it comes to Black children, regardless of gender, many of them are horrendous. Horrendous. They do not see our kids as children. They do not see our kids as deserving of protection. They do not see our kids as worthy of patience, grace, or humanity. I figured out very quickly that they did not have my kids' best interests at heart. And one of my biggest regrets, one of my true life regrets, is that I could not figure out a way to homeschool my kid. Time and time again, the people who intervened and saved my child and literally ended up saving my child's life were Black women and Black men in those school systems. Black children are not safe in these systems, and Black parents know this. Now let's go back to the workplace and HR. White women are the architects of hell for Black women at work. That's just a statement of fact. I'm not saying all, but I am saying most. And that is based on my lived experience and the experiences of the thousands of women who come to me on discovery calls and consultations. A lot of y'all think your problem is the company or the policy or the white man at the top. And I'm not saying all of those things are not an issue. But the architects of your demise, the architect of your despair, the architect of the mess that pushed you out of that last job, 9 times out of 10, is a white woman. She's the one writing you up. She's the one tone policing you. She's the one crying when you challenge her. She's the one calling HR on you. She's the one manipulating the process, whispering behind closed doors, sowing seeds of doubt about your competence. She's the one documenting you while making sure there's no documentation on her or others that look like her. Sometimes she's acting on behalf of white men, absolutely. But the face of the harm, the gatekeeper of the harm, the frontline agent of the harm, white women. And here's why the comparison hits me so hard when the woman compared them to the police and how Black men see the police. White men may be the architects of the system and the owners of the system, and they are. But white women are the everyday enforcers when it comes to Black women. They are the ones who carry it out quietly, with a smile, with a soft voice, with concern, with policy. That's what makes it so dangerous. White male power is obvious. It's straightforward. It's in your face. White female power is protected, shielded, and underestimated. And that makes it far more insidious. They cry to derail accountability. They play victim while perpetrating harm. They manipulate narratives with a level of social credibility we don't get access to. And the harm they cause is not questioned because society refuses to imagine them as dangerous. They are the police of the workplace. They are the police of the classroom. They are the police of the hospital room. They are the police of any system that has the power to control, punish, deny, or destroy Black lives, especially the lives of Black women. Let me end with this. The more I reflect on that statement that white women are to Black women what police are to Black men, the more I realize how true it is. And that's a frightening thing. Because just like the police, white women act with the impunity. White women act with impunity. White women are believed. White women are protected. White women can harm us with no consequences. And we are the ones who get told to calm down, to be polite, to communicate differently, to give grace, to understand their intentions. No. I'm going to say that again. No, we're not doing that anymore. Call the pattern what it is. Protect yourself. Document every single thing. Trust behavior, not performance or aesthetics. And stop expecting safety from people who have shown you over and over again that they will never prioritize your well-being. For those who are going to say, this is not me, and what can I do? When you see this kind of behavior happening from people who look like you, check them. And leave Black women alone at work. Let us do our work. Leave us alone and let us strive, as my mother used to say. Leave us in peace. And stop being the perpetrator of harm. At this point, it is not a question of you not knowing what the harmful behavior is. It's a question of you insisting on continuing to engage in it.
Seeing the energy shift when I went in there with just my, like, not being a bitch, not being nasty, just straight face, calm, cool. They couldn't take it. They couldn't take it because they want to know what's on your mind at all times, especially as a Black woman or just a Black person in the office. They want to know, no, a Black woman. They want to know what's on your mind at all times. So if you don't wear happy emotions on your sleeve, they just automatically assume that you're mad at them, that you're judging them, that you're sad, that you're angry immediately. Just having a regular straight voice and a regular tone, because you are not jumping for joy and doing backflips, they take you as a threat. I've seen it 1,001 times before. I've seen this so many times. I've seen women, Black women, getting laid off or getting fired, and they were going to do firings or layoffs anyway. But I might have had like a manager come to me and say, you know, because back then they thought I was the token Black girl at work. So they will come to me and tell me stuff, even though it's like, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, we were going to do layoffs anyway. So I went ahead and selected her because, man, her attitude. And in reality, her attitude was what, she came in and did her work and left. That was too much, too little. So I think that a lot of Black women understand me when you feel like in the workplace you have to wear your emotions on your sleeve, and those emotions must be happy, and nobody else is expected to do that. Like, Sarah can come in here crying about her boyfriend rattling her iced coffee 45 minutes late, and nobody bothers her. And I just wish we had that same amount of, like, just allowance just to be ourselves, you know, in the workplace, but we don't. We don't. And that's why I advocate a lot of work from home for Black women, because for once you're not under a freaking microscope and being scrutinized for every look, laugh, smile, giggle, turn, twist, you know, frown. Like, finally. And that gave me so much freaking peace working from home for the first time, because for once I don't have to put on for nobody, and nobody is going to get offended when I don't. So I hear a lot of people, I hear y'all when you say, oh, I gotta be in office. But I think that even the mere feeling of like being so crazy about wanting to be in office, I think that's a privilege. I think that y'all might be saying that because you don't go through some of the things that we have to go through. And I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. I'm fine if I'm completely wrong. I would love to hear more Black women's experience in the workplace, like just being themselves. Or have you ever been told you have an attitude when you just chilling? And let me know, because in my mind, like, work from home or even entrepreneurship, but at least work from home will give you some sense of autonomy and some sense of just reclamation in these treacherous workplaces that want you to smile.